5-Minute Mom. So here are a couple things that you might be concerned about as a mother. Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss being canceled. If you have kids, you've probably read them, a Dr. Seuss book or 2 or 20, or the same book 20 times. So here's the deal with that. I'm not going to, because I'm using my phone, I'm not going to link anything in the description this time. You just have to go look it up on your own. If you want to look it up. By no means are you, beholden to look it up. I just wanted to use that word. So anyway, here's the deal with the whole Dr. Seuss news that's floating around. First of all, it's old news. This happened a year ago. Second of all, it's not necessarily directly cancel culture because it's Seuss Enterprises, the business that's in charge of allowing his books to be published and managing his legacy and all of that. They made the decision to go ahead and not allow 6 of his books to be published. Most of these books are just obscure. Like, I had never even heard of them. 2 of them I had heard of. It began on Mulberry Street or whatever. The one about Mulberry Street, and then there's another one that has like What I Learned at the Zoo or something in the title. So I had heard of both of those. I believe I have a copy of the Mulberry Street one somewhere on my shelf, which now I have to go look at to see like the racism in it. But here's the thing. This was a decision that they made a year ago. And I do remember like Dr. Seuss has come in and out of like criticism, not only for his books, but for his newspaper cartoons, political cartoons that he did before he started writing children's books. I think it was before, which he apologized for publicly while making an excuse about that's just what happens with political cartoons. Well, it's not great. It's not great. But as a responsible adult, I feel like I would like to just choose what my kids read. I mean, if I want to pick up Laura Ingalls Wilder, I'm fully capable of explaining to them what's happening in the book and, how it's good or not good or where the author was coming from at the time that she wrote it. And then Dr. Seuss, some of those books I'll just skip. I mean, he wrote so many really good books that have very good themes that I want my children to be exposed to. So I don't know. But that's the deal. It's old news. It's from a year ago they made that decision. I don't know why it's being put out again now. And then also it's not like cancel culture like the publishing house has decided. They're not going to do it. It's actually the Seuss Enterprise, which is in charge of which books get published still and maintaining his legacy. And they said they did it to protect his legacy, and they did say this was only the beginning of decisions that they're making. So watch out for that. If you have kids on Facebook, something to be aware of is a double homicide out in Vacaville, California. Now, why would you care about this? Well, apparently the man who was charged with murder of a woman and a 15-year-old girl was live streaming from the apartment with their deceased bodies in the background, live streaming on Facebook. Haven't seen that in the news? No. Well, people don't want to talk about Facebook and the news in a negative way because it already gets enough of that. But, if you have kids that are on Facebook and they have accounts, I would watch out for that because rumor has it was up for a while before they took it down. And that's pretty disturbing. So, but that's just a rumor, so I don't know. Anyway, you can verify that yourself if you want, or not. Seems like there was something else that was newsworthy that I'm forgetting about. Oh yeah, the Equality Act passed, so now we no longer recognize the biological, is that how you would say it? Physiological? I think it's the biological man and woman as defined by the biology or the anatomy. There it is. So the term man does not apply necessarily to a person who has male anatomy, reproductive anatomy, and the term female does not apply to a person who has female reproductive analogy. Does anyone else feel like the world is getting more and more absurd at every minute? I mean, what are we doing? This is like, we're just stepping further and further from truth, from, you know, absolute truth of creation, of the created world. So I have a feeling when you start making moves like this, it just gets weirder and weirder. And we've got a president who is like out of control executive orders. I mean, isn't this what a tyrant does? He's not running anything past anyone. He's just sending out orders and letting them fly. And speaking of letting them fly, you're probably not going to see a whole lot about this, but we did bomb Syria. And I don't think that was a decision that was really publicized, or I don't know. I haven't heard a whole lot about it. I think Fox did a little article and or a little a little interview with Pompeo, and I don't know. I just haven't seen anything else on it. I haven't seen any follow-up. I haven't seen any interviews with Kamala Harris or Joe Biden about why we bombed Syria, what the danger is there retaliation? Like, should I be concerned that he's been in office less than 100 days and we're already bombing countries? I don't know. So that's it. I'm just kind of praying and avoiding the news, but sometimes people send me stuff. And if you're one of the people that sends me stuff, keep sending me stuff. Because I know I just get like what you feel is important or the things that I would like. So Seuss, Syria, Equality Act, Facebook. If you have kids that are on Facebook, or if you're on Facebook, just be really careful about things that are posted. Because I don't think they got that graphic label up, fast enough. Actually, I don't think they put a graphic violent content label. I think they just took it down, which is what they should have done. But from what I heard, a lot of people saw it, and that's how we came to know about it, because it wasn't reported. That was the end of January. I believe it was January 31st in Vacaville, California. And I believe my kids' sustained silent reading time is done. I believe that's how the police were alerted, is that somebody called the local police and was like, hey, there's a guy who's live streaming with dead bodies in the background. Better get over to this apartment here. So anyway, I don't know, crazy, right? All right. So we are living in crazy times. So let's keep praying for each other. And the Equality Act stuff, I'm like, this is bats. This is crazy. So I stopped myself there a little bit. I'm also trying not to drop my phone. Oh, I'm back. That's weird. Okay, so God bless you. Good measure, packed down and overflowing. I was going to say, I'm trying not to curse even interiorly during Lent, which is extremely difficult. I don't do a great job at that. I'm also trying to be off my phone, which is even harder. So yeah, that's it. God bless you. Let's pray for each other. Let's get out and talk to people. I keep saying that, but even more now, I'm like, let's bring back the actual town halls. Town hall meetings. Let's bring back the parish hall, coffee and donuts. If our, politicians or our leaders, spiritual or political, aren't willing to open things up a bit more for us to gather as communities and really discuss what's happening right now, I think we need to figure out a way to make it happen on our own. We need to start talking to our local communities. We need to start talking to our neighbors. We need to start talking to our families and friends, not just in groups of 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, but in larger groups where we actually can have open discussions about what's happening in the world and the best way to move forward. And we need to get ourselves onto the boards, onto the committees, into actual political positions, because this is enough. This is absurd and insane. And yeah, got to do something about it. All right, I got to go get that timer and tell my daughter she can stop reading her book.